Democracy Radio broadcasting on 94.9 FM and worldwide on WADR.org. Welcome to Newslink, and here are the top stories. Opposition PPACI party reviews the chances of Laurent Gbagbo as its flag bearer for the 2025 presidential election in Côte d'Ivoire. Ghana's parliament assures all contractual agreements with neighboring countries on energy will be met as it deals with power challenges.
Whatever it is, those who are enjoying the export of electricity like Côte d'Ivoire, Togo and Burkina Faso might come to terms with what is happening, but it's temporary.
Deadly heat wave kills over 100 people in Mali.
Cela fait une semaine que mon père a été admis aux urgences.
My father was admitted to the emergency room for a week. Unfortunately, he has given up the ghost.
And Nigerian military neutralizes 6 terrorists responsible for an attack on personnel in Borno Northeast. Please stay tuned for details of these stories and more.
Here is Imo Edit with Newslink.
Many thanks for joining us and a warm welcome to our listeners in the Gambia, Ghana, Liberia and Sierra Leone. Well, let's begin in Côte d'Ivoire, where analysis of Laurent Gbagbo's candidacy for the 2025 presidential election was reiterated over the weekend during the second edition of the political gathering of the PPACI party, known as the Renaissance Festival. The event held in Agboville, north of Abidjan, brought together thousands of supporters of the former Ivorian head of state, who is now an opposition figure. Sankle Janko reports.
Despite still being ineligible, Laurent Gbagbo reiterated in front of his thousands of supporters that he will be the candidate of the political party he founded, the African People's Party of Côte d'Ivoire, PPACI, in the 2025 presidential election. Laurent Gbagbo also refrained from commenting on the response from the presidency following the letter sent to him by his party, which requested a political solution for his reinstatement on the electoral list. After missing the last local elections, Laurent Gbagbo, who is determined to participate in the upcoming presidential election, according to analysts, is now employing political pressure tactics to get the government to reinstate his voting rights. To escalate his political pressure, Laurent Gbagbo announced that he will publish documents in the coming days to, as he puts it, reveal the truth about his conviction in the so-called robbery case of the BCAO, which currently prevents him from being eligible. Though pardoned by President Alassane Ouattara, only an amnesty will facilitate his registration on the electoral list.
Sankle Janko filed that report. Well, we head now to Ghana, where the Parliamentary Select Committee on Mines and Energy has said that the government will meet all contractual agreements with neighboring countries to which Ghana exports power. It comes on the back of a recent directive by President Nana Akufo-Addo to the VRA to curtail the export of electricity to other countries in response to the ongoing intermittent power outages in the country. Ghana exports power to neighboring countries such as Togo, Benin and Burkina Faso. Speaking to the media after a closed-door meeting with the stakeholders in the power sector, the chairperson of the Parliamentary Select Committee on Mines and Energy, Samuel Atta-Akie, argued government cannot afford a complete measure of power export as that would amount to a breach of contract.
Whatever it is, those who are enjoying the export of electricity like Côte d'Ivoire, Togo and Burkina Faso might come to terms with what is happening, but it's temporary. So all contractual obligations will be met very soon, and we don't have problems. But what I'm understanding it to mean is that when your house is on fire, try and put off the fire before going to help your neighbor. I think there's logic in that. And let's see, they know that Ghana will not mess up contractual obligations.
Chairperson of the Parliamentary Select Committee on Mines and Energy, Samuel Atta-Akie. Meanwhile, stakeholders in the power sector have assured the Select Committee that the challenges with the power supply in Ghana will be resolved within a month. Member of Parliament for Pru East constituency and a member of the Select Committee, Dr. Kwabena Donko, confirmed the assurance.
As a Committee on Mines and Energy, we called a meeting of all the agencies in the supply chain or in the value chain so that we can understand where they're coming from, what they are currently doing, and what they expect to do to resolve the debilitating load shedding that is affecting all of Ghanaians. So we cannot prescribe policies for them. Well, we got a certain undertaking that these issues will be resolved within a month. They made mention of that. The ministry was represented, GRIDCO was represented, ECG was represented, NETCO was represented, VRA, and the Chamber of IPPs were represented. Of course, the two regulatory bodies were also here, PURC and Energy Commission. That is the impression that the ministry and the agencies gave us, that they expect that this challenge will be over in a month. It's an expectation. As we say, the sweetness of the pudding is in the eating. We are waiting to see whether it is resolved within the 1 month time frame that they proffered to this committee.
That was Member of Parliament for Pro East constituency and a member of the Select Committee, Dr. Kwabena Donko.
More stories coming up on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
Well, let's head now to Mali, where over 100 people have died from deadly heat wave. Mali has been experiencing a severe heat wave since the beginning of April, accompanied by scorching sun and frequent power outages. Record temperatures never before recorded during this period have reached over 48 degrees Celsius in the region of Kayes in the western part of the country and over 44 degrees Celsius in the capital. Augustin Kohli completes the story.
The emergency department of Gabriel Touré Hospital, one of the largest in the capital Bamako, has been receiving around 100 patients per day since the start of the heat wave. The emergency staff are becoming increasingly overwhelmed. Isolated in a corner of the hospital, sadness on his face, Aliou Diallo has just lost his elderly father after a week of hospitalization due to the extreme heat.
Cela fait une semaine que mon père a été admis aux urgences.
My father was admitted to the emergency room for a week. Unfortunately, he has given up the ghost. Of course he was ill, but it's also due to the current heat wave we're experiencing. All the dead are the elderly people.
30 corps devant moi. En plus de cette chaleur, s'ajoutent aussi les délestages.
At the entrance of the hospital, Mariam Doumbia, who came to inquire about the patient she is accompanying, is herself shaken by the heat wave affecting the country. Since the beginning of April, temperatures have exceeded the average, reaching up to 48 degrees Celsius. The elderly are the most affected. Gabriel Touré Hospital, one of the largest in the country, has already recorded over 100 deaths due to extreme heat, a record during the hot season in the country. Professor Django Mahatman Jibo, head of the Anesthesia and Resuscitation Department.
Au niveau du service d'accueil des urgences, on a un nombre de décès très élevé.
We have a very high number of deaths compared to 2023. Over the first 4 days of April, we have recorded about 102 deaths. And when we look at the deaths, we have more than 60% of these deaths being the elderly.
Des 102 décès, c'est des patients qui ont un âge supérieur à 60 ans.
The sun will continue to beat down hard this Monday. And last week, the region of Kayes in the west of the country recorded temperatures of up to 48 degrees Celsius.
Augustin Kohli reporting there. Meanwhile, in Nigeria, the military high command has announced the successful neutralization of 6 terrorists responsible for the recent attack on its personnel along the Biu-Buni Yadi Road in Borno State, northeast of the country. The director of the Defense Media Operations, Major General Edward Buba, confirmed that 1 lieutenant lost his life in the attack, while 4 injured personnel are currently receiving treatment at an undisclosed hospital. Osman Mara has more in this report.
According to the military spokesperson, following an attack on its personnel along the Biu-Buni-Yadi Road in Borno State on Friday, the troops swiftly reinforced and eradicated the terrorist hideout within a location he referred to as the Timbuktu Triangle. Reports had emerged that the ambush along the Biu-Buni-Yadi Road, which resulted in the tragic loss of at least 6 soldiers, took place in Kamuya, a village close to Buratai, the hometown of former Chief of Army Staff Lieutenant General Tukur Buratai, retired, as the soldiers were en route to Damaturu, the Yobe state capital, to purchase fuel. Providing an update on the situation, the military stated that the remaining terrorists in the area are now in disarray due to the relentless pursuit by the troops. According to Major General Buba, 5 AK-47 rifles and 103 rounds of 7.62 mm special ammunition were recovered. Attacks like these on military personnel in the area has become rampant at a time many were hoping that the war on terror in the area is abating. The nearly 2-decade insurgency in the northeast has caused the death of hundreds of military personnel, including high-ranking officers. For Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, Usman Umar reporting from Abuja.
Still in Nigeria, and former head of its central bank, Godwin Emefiele, will appear in court today as fresh charges alleging misuse of office and corruption have been filed against him by the anti-corruption agency. These charges come in addition to the procurement fraud allegations he is already confronting in Abuja, where he has maintained his innocence. Now the Tete report.
Godwin Emefiele, the former central bank chief, is set to make a court appearance in Lagos on Monday following the emergence of new charges accusing him of misconduct and corruption. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, lodged these additional charges, which include accusations of fraudulent foreign exchange allocation amounting to $2 billion, as reported by local media outlets. The charge sheet asserts that this allocation was executed without the necessary supporting bids, indicating potential irregularities in the process. The alleged offences, spanning from 2022 to 2023, have drawn significant attention, leading to Emefiele's suspension by Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu last June, followed by his detention. Tinubu's administration has taken steps to reverse the foreign exchange policies implemented by Emefiele and has initiated currency devaluation measures in response to this situation.
Now the Tete filed that report. You're listening to Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, 94.9 FM Dakar. Here is a reminder of our top stories. Opposition PPACI party reviews the chances of luring Gbagbo as its flag bearer for the 2025 presidential election in Côte d'Ivoire. Ghana's parliament assures all contractual agreements with neighboring countries on energy will be met as it deals with power challenges. Deadly heatwave kills over 100 people in Mali. Nigerian military neutralizes 6 terrorists responsible for an attack on personnel in Borno State. And still ahead, Liberia reviews the role of judges and lawyers in fighting corruption. And we do have the press review and sports news. Please stay with us.
West Africa Democracy Radio. It's you speaking.
Don't forget, we are streaming live on WADR.org, YouTube and Facebook. Now, the vital role of judges and lawyers in tackling challenges to the rule of law, particularly corruption, has been emphasized by stakeholders in Liberia's judiciary. This comes amid growing concerns about the integrity of Liberia's justice system. A call to action was made when legal practitioners in the country held a 2-day event to find solutions to address the general question of ending impunity in the country. WADR's Darlington Popper has a report.
At the event, United Nations Development Program Resident Coordinator to Liberia, Louis Konkpe, called on judges and lawyers to take the lead in addressing issues undercutting the rule of law, especially corruption.
It is imperative that we confront the stark reality of that impunity which continues to undermine the very foundation of justice accountability in Liberia. The culture of impunity not only erodes public trust in our institutions, but also perpetuates a cycle of lawlessness that hampers our society and socio-economic development and threatens the peace and stability that we continue to enjoy.
Representing the Association of Female Lawyers of Liberia, Anthony Philomena Wollum said that the rule of law will continue to be compromised unless the executive desists from interfering in legal matters involving officials in the executive.
The rule of law is further undermined if the executive lacks the political will to stand up against impunity, by politically maneuvering to shield and protect perpetrators from punishment.
Chief Justice Yaneyo, for her part, blamed the negative mindset of Liberians toward the judiciary as a critical point to consider if the country's justice system is to succeed in ending impunity.
Our society is so intrinsically or inherently so tight-knit that it is difficult for each of us to go and to have this willpower to prosecute or punish violators of the law. Look at what happened in recent times. The court had to resort to getting the Liberia National Police riot squad to enforce a judgment.
For now, judicial actors have pledged to increase awareness among Liberians to improve the justice system. For Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, I'm Darlington Pogba in Monrovia.
Well, let's take it back to Cote d'Ivoire as the Ministry of Youth Promotion, Professional Integration and Civic Service, through the National Civic Service Office, is training 500 young people aged 14 to 17 from schools in the Abidjan district and Dabo West of Abidjan in civic commitment. The initiative, called Parcours Citoyen, aims to reinforce the civic and citizenship behavior in these young people through a 10-day training program. During the training, the young participants are introduced to community activities, learn how to live together, receive first aid training, and take part in recreational, educational, and sporting activities. The Parcours Citoyen also sensitizes young people to the issues of illegal migration, cybercrime, and risk associated with the consumption of drugs, alcohol, and tobacco. In news outside the sub-region, Rwanda began a week of commemoration on Sunday to mark 30 years of the 1994 genocide against the Tutsis, which resulted in the death of approximately 1 million people, mostly Tutsis and moderate Hutus, over 100 days. President Paul Kagame and First Lady Janet Kagame, along with foreign dignitaries, laid wreaths at the Kigali Genocide Memorial, where more than 250,000 victims are buried. The flame of remembrance was lit at the memorial and will remain lit for 7 days at 4 genocide memorials in the country. The commemoration serves as a reminder of the dangers of division, extremism, and hate speech, which can lead to genocide if not contained. Entertainment and sporting competitions were suspended during the commemoration period. Rwandan President Paul Kagame blamed the inaction of the international community for allowing the 1994 genocide to happen.
The remnants of those forces are still in eastern Congo today, where they enjoy state support in full view of the United Nations peacekeepers. Their objectives have not changed, and the only reason this group today, known as FDLR, has not been disbanded is because their continued existence serves some unspoken interest. The more Rwanda takes full responsibility for its own safety and dignity, the more intensely the established truth about the genocide is questioned and revised.
Rwandan President Paul Kagame speaking there.
This is the Newspaper Review. Stay abreast and find out what the top stories are in your country.
This is the Newspaper Review.
The Newspaper Review.
Well, let's head back to Abuja as we join us tomorrow for the Newspaper Review.
Hello and welcome to the Press Review segment. Today with me, Osman Omar from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. As usual, we have quite a number of national dailies to take a look at this afternoon. Let's begin with the Daily Independent newspaper. The Daily Independent is leading with this story. Experts worried over Naira recovery say it's artificial cosmetic. With a rider, firms still face higher cost of production following dollar shortage. This story, of course, is taking a look at the developing story in the financial sector, where the Naira seems to be gaining some muscle against the United States dollars as a result of some measures taken by the Central Bank of Nigeria. But experts are expressing worry that some of the measures taken are merely artificial and cosmetic. How this pans out, we will have to continue to wait and see. A couple of other stories on the front page of the Daily Independent. Atiku alleges Lagos-Calabar Highway project is shrouded in secrecy, with a rider asks Tinubu to reveal cost of project to Nigerians. Of course, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar is the opposition leader in the People's Democratic Party and the presidential contestant for the same party. He is raising some concerns over, the secrecy in the funds allocated to the highway project of the Lagos-Calabar Expressway. A couple of other stories on the front page of the Daily Independent. Police warn fielding Rivers politicians against violence, inciting comments. Detail is on page 7 of the paper. Northern youths tackle Tinubu over hike in electricity tariff. Still some ripples there regarding the recent hike, about 200% rise in the cost of electricity in Nigeria. Media organizations, civil society organizations issue federal government 14-day ultimatum to prosecute violators of editors' rights. And then the detail of that is on page 6. We quickly move to the Daily Sun. The Daily Sun is leading with this political story. Battle for control of People's Democratic Party intensifies with a single rider. Governors align against Atiku. Of course, Atiku, as we said earlier, is the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party in the concluded presidential elections in Nigeria, and the party is gearing up for its national convention. And of course, PDP governors, that is governors control states being controlled by PDP, aligning their interest where they feel is more politically beneficial. Another story: alleged fraud. Ex-governor Buhari's ministers on the run. This is a story that's taking a look at the immediate past administration of President Muhammadu Buhari. Some governors are being asked certain questions regarding certain funds that are yet to be accounted for from their respective states, particularly the very high volume of internal and external debt with little or no projects to show for them. Quickly, we move to the next paper. And the next paper we are taking a look at today is the Daily Trust newspaper. The Daily Trust is leading with this story. Nigerians in United Arab Emirates stranded over work permit visa ban, with a rider lost over 200 jobs, face discrimination. Another rider, they should return home to build Nigeria. This is according to some Nigerians. Discussions ongoing to resolve issues. This is coming from an aide to Minister of Foreign Affairs. Of course, UAE and Nigeria have had some sort of frosty relationship with respect to issue of visa permits and all that. This is some outcome of that. And then the last story from the front page of the Daily Trust today: palliatives. 9 die in stampede in Wamako's house. Wamako is the former governor of Sokoto State. Reports came in over the weekend that during distribution of palliative, the stampede ensued, leading to the death of about 9 people. And finally, the Vanguard newspaper. The Vanguard today is leading with petrol. Oil marketers propose 550 naira to a litre price to Dangote. Of course, the Dangote refinery is set to begin sale of petrol to Nigerians, and oil marketers are proposing a 550 naira to a litre price to the oil mogul. Of course, the current price is around 670 naira. If this scales through, this will be some relief to Nigerians, because it will definitely affect the price of a lot of other things, and this is what Nigerians are clamoring for at this point in time. And this is the much we have for you on this edition of Press Review segment with me, Usman Umar, from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. It's back to you in the studios.
Many thanks, Usman, with the newspaper review. And here is Sport News with Sankule Janko.
Hello out there, a warm welcome and thank you for joining us. The Confederation of African Football CAF President Dr. Patrice Motsepe will kick off a 4-country visit on Monday morning that will include Sao Tome and Principe, Equatorial Guinea, Guinea-Bissau and Morocco this week. Dr. Motsepe will begin in Sao Tome on Monday, 8 April, where he will meet football leadership and other football stakeholders in the country. He will also meet with the head of state, President Carlos Villanova. On Tuesday, 9 April, the CAF president will be in Equatorial Guinea, where he will meet with football leadership as well as the head of state, President Theodore Obiang Nguema Mbasoko. On Wednesday, 10 April 2024, Dr. Patrice Motsepe will be in Guinea-Bissau, where he will also meet the football leadership and head of state, President Umaru Sissoco Embalo. 24 hours later, the CAF president will attend the opening ceremony of the CAF Futsal Africa Cup of Nations AFCON Morocco 2024 in Rabat. And Egypt international Mohamed Salah scored a late penalty to salvage a point for Liverpool in a thrilling 2-2 draw against Manchester United in the English Premier League on Sunday. Luis Diaz put Liverpool ahead before Bruno Fernandes equalized for United. Teenage sensation Kobe Mainoo scored a worldie to give Manchester United the lead, but Salah scored from the penalty spot to earn Liverpool a draw. The result means Arsenal leapfrogged Liverpool on top of the table with 8 games to go. And that's it for sports. It's back to you.
And we've come to the end of this edition of Newslink from West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal. Thank you for listening, and to our listeners in Sierra Leone on Radio Baf, and many thanks Christian Mukudi and David Vincent for the technical assistance. Well, let's keep the conversation coming on all of our social media platforms, X, formerly Twitter, Instagram at WADR News, and Facebook, West Africa Democracy Radio English Service. Coming up at the bottom of the hour is our flagship health program, Well Body with Ogebi Erika. I am Imo Edet. Good afternoon.
And many thanks to you for listening to Newslink via Hot 104.3 FM.